Hey, welcome to a new version of Hump Day Astrology. I'm Rob Barnes with astrologybyrob.com.
Hi, everybody. I'm Susan Farmer with astrologyandsoul.com as well. I know. It's really fun to be back.
Yeah, it is. We've talked about doing this. We've tried a couple different formats in the past, and we've talked about doing this again, and kind of like the format that we're going to present today. So yeah. What we've thought about is every Wednesday, so we like the Hump Day Astrology theme,
right?
And so we want to keep with that and offer a recorded video every Wednesday, at least every Wednesday, because there's times when we're excited about something and want to talk about something, and we might just throw extra videos out there occasionally. But we want to be consistent on at least putting out a Wednesday video and talk about things that are going on with readings, classes, but then also talk about different transits that are happening in the sky that are affecting us and things like that. So that's why we're putting this together.
Yeah, as well as we want to share your stories as well with the transits that are going on so that you can be a part of it.
Yeah, because we hear cool stories all the time. I mean, obviously we're working on things, and I assume you do as well, but in reading, I'm like, tell me how things go, because oftentimes we see energies, we don't always know the context, and then when things happen, it's like so fascinating for us. Even it's like, oh, so that's how it translated. That's so cool.
Yeah. So I think that's our new format. Is that right?
Yes.
Is sharing transit, sharing what we're doing, sharing transits. We're a work in progress, and I think it's awesome.
Yes.
We keep you guys on your toes.
Just happy to be back. We've missed doing these, and so now is a good time.
Yes, it is.
Especially
now that it's summer.
Right. And school's out. Yay. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you have going on with your work and some of the things that you're putting together?
I have been kind of in hibernation mode, like a little under the surface, doing things, not as many readings, which I'm jumping back into now. I've had people text me and be like, wait, why can't I schedule? So I'm reopening that on my website. And I really love playing with the energies, like charging products and whatnot with the different energies to help people through life. For instance, if you're going on a date or something and you just kind of want to have confidence and kind of have that feeling, you would use a Venus charged product.
What do you mean by products? I know some of your people who are used to this understand products, but
yes,
some people don't know.
Right. So really I can make anything: a lotion, a candle, a spray, a dauber, anything like an oil. But what I'm really focusing on right now are those lava bracelets and just bracelets. Oh, yeah, just bracelets in general that carry that energy. So it's like a charge, like if you put your rocks or stones out under a full moon or new moon, they get recharged. So it's the same idea. Okay. You charge a bracelet, you charge a thing, you charge lotion, you charge whatever, and then it carries that energy. So these bracelets I'm making are they're really cool. And if it's the two I'm working on this week are a sleigh and a play, and I wasn't trying to make them rhyme, but
you got it.
No, I was like, dang it, I'm not going to keep that up. So I don't want to put that out there, but the sleigh is just about like slaying those dragons, going for something that maybe you're scared. So it carries the energy of like, I'm going for it, while at the same time bringing up and helping you recognize maybe what some of those fears are. Am I fear of being successful? Am I fear of not being successful? Am I, why don't I continue on my goal path sometimes? And so you throw that bracelet on. It can be a little anxious one though, and you really want to strategize. Anyway, there's directions that come with it. And then the play is like your inner child. And I thought how fun to put both of them together, like not in a package, but I thought, okay, so the sleigh's kind of a little heavy-ish, a little like get into the shadow and go slay those dragons and go for it in life. And then the play is like creative and fun. And if you feel socially awkward or whatever, it just helps you. And so I thought, oh, that would be good to mix, to put them both on at the same time, to have a lighter one and kind of a heavier one. So you feel like it's fun to go slay those dragons, but you can only wear it, you can wear one at a time. Or so that's like my passion right now, are these energy.
So it's the slay and play all day.
Yes, that's great. That's a great motto. Go slay those dragons with your sword and dress up as a knight and play. It feels like fun.
Nice. Okay.
Yes. So
and you've had good feedback on your products.
Yes, really good. I'm opening it up to like if anyone wants something for their house charged, because I do that a lot. I'll burn incense or put stuff in a humidifier for my house if things are getting tense or whatever, I'm feeling anxious, so I'm going to start doing anything really, anything that you have in your house, I can charge it with a certain energy. And then it's been really cool to do retreat things too, or like girls trips, or it can be boys trips as well. Like if people are doing an activity and they want a memory that holds a certain feeling, that's been super fun too.
I was just thinking I need the sleigh for my fish fillet when I go fishing.
So you're going to slay the fish?
Right.
I'm coming.
Here I come. Got my bracelet on, cast that pole.
Do you want a bracelet? I'll give you a bracelet.
Let's do it.
I'll give you whatever you want. You just let me know.
Play and play sounds awesome.
Slay and play. You got it. All right. So tell us what you are doing, because I know you are offering some really fun things as well.
Yeah. So last year I did an astrology study group where we met every month and we went through each of the houses. And in the way the study group works is whoever shows up, it's not like necessarily me teaching. It's a study group. So if we have a theme like first house, then everyone who shows up, we're going to go through their first house and talk about it and talk about who they are, what's going on in their life, that sort of thing. And then we just kind of everyone in the class.
Right.
So,
and everyone loves that custom stuff when they get to learn about themselves.
Totally.
Fabulous idea.
So this year we're going to focus on planets. And so wherever the planet is in your chart, we're going to talk about that planet. And then, again, whoever shows up, we'll just go through everyone in the class and talk about their chart specifically as a way of studying and learning how to read together.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the biggie. That's study group, and that'll be the second Thursday night of every month from 7 to 9. I'm going to start that in July, so that'll be July 13th, and you'll be able to find information on my website, astrologybyrob.com. That first page has a calendar with all the different things that are going on. So that's one.
That's awesome. That's super fun. What a great idea.
Thank you. Another thing would be I'm going to put together a class 1 to learn astrology. So that you're going to find on my website as well. I don't have the date yet, but that's probably going to start within a month. So if you're interested in learning about astrology and how it applies to you and how to start reading your own chart and reading other people's charts, this is a great place to go.
Right.
Great place to start. And then readings. So Out of school to me has special meaning because I have a little part-time gig where I'm a school bus driver. So I do astrology and drive a school bus. So I'm out of school.
So you're out of school. It's playtime.
Right. But playtime for me is just, I just want more and more astrology.
Right. That's
Like
cool.
studying everything I can study, everything that I can, do whatever. Anyway, readings are a big deal, obviously.
Right.
And I
Right.
want to give everyone a 30% off.
Wow.
On
That's a
readings.
great
Right.
deal.
Right. So 30% off, but you have to book within 2 weeks. You don't have to have the reading in 2 weeks. You just have to book your session in the next 2 weeks.
Okay. And is
So-
that everything on your site or just readings, or is that what it,
Just readings.
just readings? Okay.
Just readings. Yep. So 30% off on those readings. And so if you want to schedule any reading whenever, whether it's a solar return on your birthday in October or whatever it is, 30% off if you book within the next 2 weeks.
That's a great deal. You guys should jump on that. Even if your birthday is not for 6 months, you can still
Right.
have that coupon. Because
Right.
I
Why not?
don't, we've been like astrology friends or whatever you want to call it for a long time. And I don't recall you ever doing 30% off.
Never.
And I 20 is usually my max. So you guys should jump on that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then to me, I think one of the funnest things is something that you and I are doing together.
Yes.
Want to talk about it?
I don't know which one because we're doing a few. I'm assuming Astrology Club is back.
Yes.
Is that it? Okay. Yes. Astrology Club is back. And we do have a new format for that I'm really excited about. I felt like, Rob's always such a great teacher and does such a good job at all those kind of things. And I feel like maybe I didn't do as great, in the old format. It was hard. Huh?
No, you were perfect.
Thank you. But that's, I always have that Phil. And this one this is going to be super fun. It's going to stretch me because do you want to tell them what we're doing? Dun, dun, dun. Boom.
Yeah. So we're going to alternate months. We're going to have this first month, we're going to answer questions with astrology.
Yes.
And so every other month we're going to do that, which means whoever shows up to class, come prepared with a question, and just like we would normally do in any readings or whatever, what we're going to do is explore how we get an answer in astrology. So you ask your question, we combine and give an answer. And so we if there's 20 people that come to the class, then we're going to go through 20 questions and
Right.
show how we come up with that answer.
Well, we do have a time limit. So
Yes.
we are only going to be able to get through as many questions as we have the room rented for, correct?
Correct.
So, and let me just specify, because you said come with a question. So when they register, that you can register on either of our websites. So astrologybyrob.com or astrologyandsoul.com. It's $20 beforehand, $25 at the door. Are we having them put the question? I have in my form, there's like, what's your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely, we want your question in advance because we want to line up, first come, first serve sort of thing.
Yes.
And then we have your question, we have your chart, we have everything ready for that night so that we're not wasting time fiddling around with computers and trying to enter information and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So we can just bust through questions and give you, good opportunity to see how this is done.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun. It's like I said, it's going to stretch me because I'm always one that's like, yeah, just do what you feel. Whatever you feel's right. So it's going to be super fun too. We do need to asterisk, right? And be like, well,
for entertainment purposes only.
Yes. Okay. I'm like, there's got to be some asterisk. Like, don't base your kind of base your life off it, but don't base your life off it.
That's probably a good thing to say as well, because we're not going to answer medical questions.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes.
Even though you can see, themes about that in charts, that's just something that, if you have medical questions, go see your healthcare professional.
Right.
So,
Right. So, and we will use timestamps on whoever registers to see first come, first serve. So
right.
even though we're registering on 2 different websites, we'll be able to see the timestamps. So that'll be super fun.
It'll be at Synchronicities in Sandy. We'll have the information posted, the website, the location, all that, so you know where to go. It'll be 6:30 to 8:30. This first one this month in June, it'll be the 4th Friday, which I didn't write down what day that is. Did you?
I think it's the 23rd.
23rd.
Let me look. Yes, the 23rd. And then it is the 3rd Friday in July, being the 21st.
And then it'll continue being the 3rd Friday of every month going forward.
Yes.
So the other month that we're not answering questions, we're going to be talking about different fun subjects, not so much like in a teaching way, but we want to introduce people to different topics. We want to try things out on whoever shows up. Again, it'll be somewhat like, well, let's talk about your lives, because you'll be people who we're kind of highlighting. So
I was going to say an experimenting way. Like this is something we're putting a focus on. We're putting focus on different things, bringing more stuff into our practices, which is really fun. And it's really good to see those examples in people's charts. And so again, it will be customized to you, which everyone loves to hear about their chart.
Right.
I do.
Right. So, which brings me up to the idea of like some of the things that we're working on in our individual practices. Like, I know that you're taking a course on horary astrology.
Yes. And that is a question answer thing as well. It's a yes or no. It's different than what we're doing at Astrology Club.
Right.
Yes.
So I'm kind of tagging along, and we're having study conversations regularly about that. There's other things like progressions,
solar arcs.
Yeah. All these other things that we're adding to our practice.
Relocation, astrocartography. Yeah, like tons. We're just having a blast focusing on these different things.
Some of those will be showing up in these other alternate months, and they'll show up in our practice as well. So that'll just broaden what our capabilities are in our own individual services that we provide, which it'll be fun, because to me it's like predictive stuff is so cool.
Yes.
And so anyway, so I just have more tools to do more with it. So if you want to do some of those astrology readings, book those in the next 2 weeks, fabulous. We'll have a lot to talk about.
Yes. Yeah, especially with your deal, right? Go get his 30% off deal. Is there a code or something for that? Or are you just going to post it with this video?
I'll post it with the video. Plus I have an email that I'm putting together that'll come out, that'll highlight all these things that we're talking about. So if you're not on my email list, you can either write me on Facebook or wherever you see this. My email address is rob.astrologer@gmail.com. Write me or text me 801-699-8322. And I'll put you on my email list.
You are brave. I guess we have all the solicitors texting us now, though. So it's way more fun to get a text from an astrology client.
Right.
Yes.
All right. So that covers all.
That's a lot.
It is. It is.
Welcome, everyone. Let's talk about all these 50 million things. Now we'll talk astrology.
What's going on in the sky?
This year so far has been very active, especially March, April, May. I think June's a little more chill, which I have enjoyed, just being chill. What about you?
Oh, well, chill. What was it? The 18th, 19th, and 20th?
I think it was the 20th
Yeah,
of
where
May.
Pluto's opposite Mars, where Jupiter was a thing. And I've had some readings based on that stuff where, not every transit's going to hit everybody the same way, you know, and
Yes, which I've been experimenting with, which has been really fun. Like, okay, so, there was a grand trine. If you don't know what that means, it's just a really easy energy on Friday. And it was fun to ask different people how it affected them. And based on their signs, it affected them differently.
right. So some of those things, I don't know if chill month would have been the case for everybody. I know for
That's
you, for me, it was pretty chill. Um, we thought that maybe this energy would have been a big thing, and turns out it was for some of my clients, but not so much for me. So it was
Well,
kind
I think, go ahead, finish your
of go ahead.
sentence.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
what I feel, because you and I studied that one, and I did a lot of individual study. So this was the week of May, the weekend of like May 20th, right?
Right.
21st. And it was a tough energy. Not only was it a tough energy, it hit both of us, and it made it way more extreme in our personal wiring. And the lesson I really learned from that is, I've gone through life and I'm still here, barely sometimes. And there are times I'm not, or I know there's a rough energy coming or something for me, but I'm not totally conscious of it.
Right.
And usually, there have been some rough ones lately, and I've had some blow ups, meltdowns, whatever. What was super interesting to me about that, it was a T-square, if you know what that means, and squares are hard. So there were two squares in an opposition. All those are hard. And then it made a grand square for me, hard. What I did though was I took the week before and really studied it. And you and I talked about it. And that's kind of was the basis for this hump day as well. Like, we want people's experiences. We want them to share those. So please share those, email us or put them in whatever chat you see on whatever platform so that we can share them next week. But the coolest thing for me was, okay, this is going to be a really hard energy. And I am actually going to be in situations that fit my unique chart, where if I didn't study that, it could have blown up.
Right.
And I know me, I know, there's lots of times I say things, or, my mouth can be a problem. And I really took time to strategize the different, I was going to be at a few social functions and really get to my goal in those functions. Like, what is my goal? I could blow up. Would I really care if I told a few people off? Probably not. But at the end of the day, what is this function about? Who is it about? Who do I want to honor? And so really studying and strategizing and kind of making a plan for that weekend and the different scenarios I was in helped, because I walked in absolutely knowing, and I loved that. And that kind of was the basis of this platform, the Hump Day platform. Like, let's educate people.
Right. How to work with the energies, because since we knew what the energies were, and they were some really difficult energies, it was
Yes.
like, okay, so you won't do this, I won't do this. I'll kind of prepare how to handle this,
Right.
situations to where, well, will lessen the situations that energy could make turn out in a bad way, for instance.
Right. Yes. That could.
But then on the positive side of that energy, it's like, and look where we're at now today. We
Yes.
have this that we're starting up. We've got all these other things, which because you and I share something in our chart that this made this grand cross.
Mhm.
Basically, all these 3 points were opposite something important to you, something important to me. And here we are doing this probably because of that energy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, probably.
Figure out what's
And
going on.
that's another great thing I feel like that's really come to mind for me recently. You know, you can never learn all of astrology. There's always something new and something, because energy, and we go through every day, and it builds and it releases and all of that. But another huge insight for me is just exactly what you said. Every hard aspect also has a pro to it. Like, what can come from that if you work with it?
Yeah. And so I think that really affected us and where
Yes.
we're going and how we're doing it. And here we are, and opening up all these different things
Yes.
with our businesses.
Yes, because squares and oppositions are hard. They're difficult. They're also motivating.
Yeah.
They
Make-
also make you make decisions, push you, because you have that inner conflict, and it's almost like, I can't handle this. So what am I going to do with it?
Yeah. So that was a couple weeks ago. Looking forward this week,
Yes.
on the 11th, between the 11th and the 12th, somewhere in that time of June, 2 things are happening, which timing is pretty cool. If something just happened by itself, it's like, okay, whatever. But when 2 things happen at the exact same time, then you're kind of like, wow, that makes me think a little bit more about it.
The synchronicity of it. Yeah, it's pretty.
And what does that mean? How's that going to show up? Different stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
Oh.
dun, dun, dun.
Yes, what's going on is Pluto is retrograde right now and moving back into Capricorn. Within 45 minutes of that, they're called an ingress into a different sign in astrology. About 45 minutes within that time frame, Mercury moves into Gemini.
So, and that relationship is what, a positive, a trine. Well, I guess some of the things that we've looked at, is it so much a positive, or is it the speed of which something happens?
Right. With Mercury, I don't think we'd really mention Mercury, right? Because it moves really fast. And yes, it does do a million retrogrades. And that's kind of at play here, because Mercury has been in Taurus since like March. So was it March or April? I can't remember. So it's finally moving signs. And then we have the slow, intense Pluto that's moving back into Capricorn. It ingressed into Aquarius on March 23rd for the first time in a billion years.
Right.
200 and what is it?
248.
48, something like that. Yeah, years. So we're, getting insights into what that's going to mean. It's only been there for like 3 months, and it's going to go back into Capricorn, and it's going to do that dance through 2024. Back and forth, back and forth.
We were looking at, even though we're not really mundane astrologers, which is, the global effects of astrology, on nations and political leaders and all that kind of stuff. We're more personal or natal chart astrologers. But, some of the conversations that we've had were interesting over the last couple of years, and even the other day, talking about Pluto and Capricorn. The USA chart, Pluto is at 27 degrees 33 minutes. And so the last couple of years, transiting Pluto has been going over top of that same degree, which makes sense, because if you do the math, 248 years ago, 1776, America was born.
Right.
So, and what significant things are taking place in the USA chart?
Yes.
Financial things. So you were telling me about.
Well, and it's in financial houses in the USA chart.
Right. So give us a little bit of some of the things that you studied, and tell us a little bit about some of those things that you've heard, you've studied, you've seen with the financial markets.
Well, I just thought it was interesting. I get giddy and all excited, when, it's not great though. It's not great. I just think it's astrology cool. Like we started Pluto moving into Capricorn in 2008, and there was a financial crisis, with banks and other things where they got bailed out. And then we ended, when Pluto moved into Aquarius that week before, there was kind of a financial crisis where they listed 4 banks that they said your money was safe in. And I heard about it only because I don't really watch the news, but my kids work at banks. Or with the financial market. So I was like, oh my gosh, that is so insane that we started and ended. Now Pluto's going to go back and forth. So we're not done. And I was with a group of people talking about Pluto last week, and someone who doesn't really know astrology that well, I was trying to explain it to them, right? Like what Pluto does. And I loved what he came up with. He's like, so he's kind of like the SWAT team that like comes in and cleans everything out, like goes in and just cleans it all out. And I thought that was a really good analogy for what is happening in Capricorn. We're not done. It's going to go back and forth a few times. And what are we going to be cleaning out? I think if we all look back, as far as the US, we can see there's a lot of differences financially since 2008 with all those Capricorn things.
Right.
Politics is at an all-time crazy.
Yeah, because Capricorn can represent structures. And so when we think about the US, where Pluto is in the second house, my possessions, my stuff, financial stuff, structures. It seems like the political stuff is a mess.
Yes.
Structures that way. I mean, when we hear about, the FBI, CIA, and all these things, secrets that have been, and things that are coming to
Pluto's secrets, things come to the surface.
Right. And when you think about Mercury being the planet of communication
and mind, and
what new things are going to come out? What at a very quick pace, because we're talking trine energy.
Right.
What new secrets are coming? What new things are going to be established? What's coming up? And specifically in the next 2 weeks, that'll be interesting.
Yeah, really interesting. Yeah. And then, for me, and maybe I am very behind because I don't watch the news on purpose. The Aquarius Pluto energy seems to focus a lot around the AI, the artificial intelligence. And it's just been insane when the Pluto has stationed. Usually the first few stations in a sign will tell you a theme. And there's a lot of themes. AI is not the only one. But for me in my life, I felt like AI went from a possibility and, it's probably coming to, it's here. And now we're having congressional, politics, government, Capricorn, having congressional hearings on AI and stuff like that. So that Capricorn Aquarius is mixing, and it is fast. Aquarius is fast. It revolutionizes science and whatnot pretty fast. Pluto's very slow. So it will be interesting just to watch that in the next 20 years. I mean, it's in Aquarius for 20 years. So
the thing about Pluto is the intensity that it carries. So whatever the energy is, Pluto's going to intensify. Like we say death, destruction, rebirth, so if Pluto's involved, it's not going to be like an everyday thing. Pluto needs to be triggered to really activate, right?
Yes.
But when it's activated, then it's like big things. It's the smallest planet that makes the hugest impact. And where it's happening in, Capricorn, 29th degree of Capricorn, 1st degree or 0 degree of Aquarius. Look in your chart for where does, and I'm trying to look in my head and where does things show up? Like 0 degrees Aquarius, 0 degrees Taurus, 0 degrees Leo. All these places are places where if you have planets there, or just on the other side of the line in the previous sign, I would expect for you to be impacted.
Right. If you know your chart well enough, only if you can find where that Capricorn Aquarius line is in your chart and put it to the house, you can get an idea of where it will be working for you. It's too hard for us to kind of go through that.
Yeah, for everyone. But
but it is the fixed signs. So Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius. What am I missing? Leo. So really early, if you have really early things like 0 to 3, would you say? Because it's not getting past 0. Huh?
I wouldn't even go 3. I'd say 0 to 1, and then backwards I would go up to 29, 28 of the previous sign. So that'd be 28, 29 Aries, 28, 29 Cancer, 28, 29 Capricorn, 28, 29. Why am I stuck on the Scorpio one? Libra.
So it's the cardinal signs and the fixed signs. But Pluto will, not this week, on June 11th, it's when it goes back, as does Mercury. But Pluto will get back to 27.55 in Capricorn. So if you do have things in those late degrees of the cardinal, the Capricorn, Cancer, Libra, Aries, like trying to think of the signs. Yeah. Then, through now until it goes back into Aquarius, you may be getting another round of Pluto. And it could have been better since March. You could have felt a relief if you have things in those late degrees of cardinal signs, the signs we just talked about. You could have felt a relief and been like, oh, this is nice. And then it may start coming in again, just depending where your stuff is.
Back.
Yeah, go away.
Yeah, that fire, someone turns up the fire, there's more pressure. I wonder if it would feel more like I didn't get it done very well the first time, and so now it's back, and it's going to come back again in 2024. So we're not done with this,
right?
So that line, that ingress line between the cardinal signs and the fixed signs is going to be hovered over by this Pluto for the next year and a half.
Yes.
And so it's like you got an opportunity to work whatever out you have to, because you're going to have to. Pluto's going to make it happen.
And he doesn't really care if you want to or not. He brings it up and he's like, here it is, deal with it. And it is just kind of like, I really loved that SWAT analogy, like the final sweep. You are getting a final sweep. It's slow and it's not going to be constant, so it's going to go back and forth through 2024. The Mercury with it on June 11th, that will be fast. What we talked about as far as ingressing into Gemini, that's going to be a fast, like, what are you going to realize? Or what are you going to think? Or, what's going to come up? But like, Rob said, it's only going to affect a small portion of people if you have planets at those personal planets at the places we talked about. I actually have a client who has a 0 degree Taurus personal planet, which is the Aquarius, right? And the Aquarius Pluto, and then a 29 degree Aries planet, the sun and moon. Like, those are very personal. And I've noticed with them and their feedback, like, it was really stressful and a lot of anxiety and a lot of things happening until Pluto retrograded. So stopped moving towards the 0 degree planet. And so I'm waiting to kind of see, because I saw them last week and they were relaying Yes, I've kind of got over that stuff. It's been really nice. I've learned how to deal with it and and I'm like,
Welcome back.
we'll see on June 11th. Now, I hope not. I mean, I don't want to be like all negative.
Right.
Because I think
We're
there
not
are
done.
positive things that come from it.
Yeah.
Very much so.
I mean, I look at like where this is hitting in my own chart, and I feel things are shifting in a very big way, but I know I'm not done with this Pluto work. And so I know that it's very personal for me because um, I have major shifts to do in these areas. And I feel like, maybe I was half-hearted, and maybe somewhat lackadaisical. You can't afford to do that with Pluto. So it's time to make major shifts. You don't own the Pluto, so you can, Pluto owns you. So it's like, I will be shifting. I will be shifting. And so it's better to kind of work with that energy than against it.
Yeah, I don't know how you do that. Like, honestly, when I think, because he just kind of drops bombs in your lap of like, oh, I wasn't expecting that at all. Pluto usually deals with stuff, like my personal experience with Pluto. People would say he'll bring stuff up that you don't even realize is like a story in your life. Like it's so basic to you. It's just something you've built a foundation on that you don't even realize. And then all of a sudden it's brought up, so if you can go through your life and be like, oh, this maybe, or this maybe, or this maybe, it's not any of them. It's like, oh, I wouldn't even have thought of that. That's not something that would have even crossed my mind.
Carolyn Casey, I have some audiobooks of hers, and
She's great.
we've even seen her talk live. Fabulous discussions about Pluto, and one of the things that she had kind of talked about was to obsess, like on purpose.
Yes, to go move into the obsession. Yeah.
It's like, well, if on the dark night of the soul, when Pluto's hitting some really negative ways, you're laying on your floor curled up in a ball, and wanting to die. But Pluto's not hitting everybody like that, but we have those Pluto experiences sometimes. But in other ways where Pluto may not be directly that intense, it's still a Pluto energy that, I think I told you a few years ago, like I felt like I was laying on my couch morphing like the werewolf does, physically morphing into something.
Yeah.
And so in ways we can look at, Pluto is morphing energy. We're having to change.
It's
So
alchemy.
yeah. So I think sometimes, well, the amount of time that I spend obsessing about what Pluto's trying to make me do, well, obsessing is a Pluto keyword, and getting into that energy. And the more I obsess about something or how it's hitting me, the more I'm using that Pluto energy to transform myself into doing what maybe that energy is pushing me to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a definite, I feel like and tell us, like, please send your experiences. Do you feel like you have felt, like you say, morphine, like a werewolf? When I feel it, I call it a cellular shifting, like kind of like earthquake plates doing this, like inside of me. And I've only felt it a few times in my life, but it feels like a complete reordering from top down. I can feel, it feels like a cellular shifting in my body. And I'm like, oh, okay, I got it. Or, I mean, I don't think he really ever got it, but like I feel different. Okay, that I felt the buildup. I was working on this, and the shift came. And to me, it's usually a really physical thing that you feel like something's weird. Something feels weird. But I say that all the time.
So pay attention to the days
Yes.
surrounding June 11th and 12th, maybe a couple days before, a couple days after, for some of these feelings, and then, or, what you're being pushed to do, or the pressure you feel, how things are mounting. And then write it in the comments or email us, let us know.
Yeah.
And if you want us to share some of your experiences, we'll talk next week and we'll take some of these experiences for people who share it and talk about what they experienced.
And if you want it anonymous, just say, like, I want it anonymous, and we won't share your name. But
Or
if
your
you're
chart.
good, or your chart.
Yeah, because, you know, if we showed in a chart where it happened, that would kind of be cool. We can show charts without the name, but we'd still be showing your chart. But we would want your permission to do that.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's kind of it. Now, other than I say those two, that date, the 11th and 12th, and why I think we might feel it a little bit more is that influence of Mercury doing it at the same time, changing signs at the same time. So that kind of activating that Pluto, triggering some things a little bit more so than maybe without Mercury there.
Yeah. And it's kind of like it's at a very ambiguous degree. Like it's kind of like when they're both shifting.
Right.
So they're kind of, you rarely see like a 29-0, right? Or what's in between, and it's kind of in the in between. Yeah. So what has subconsciously maybe been going on in your mind, Mercury, that hits you like a bomb that you're like
the fastest planet and the slowest planet.
Yes.
Making changes at the exact same time.
Exact same time.
Yeah.
I mean, in my book, in my honeycomb book that we've talked about before, I said to Rob yesterday, it says 30 degrees, which isn't a thing. Like it's not. It goes 29.59 and then 0. So we were like, is that maybe a typo or but then looking at the times and they're within 45 minutes of each other, that shift, it's like it's kind of in the ether of, I don't know, we're still on that imaginary line in the sky and still not, but we're saying hi as we do it. And Pluto's going back and Mercury's going forward. And so that would be an interesting thing too. If you have an insight with this, as far as in a mind way, does it help you move forward?
Yeah. I
don't know.
Yeah. And the speed, again, because it's a trine energy, the speed of which something's going to take place, secrets revealed, something to the surface, something's communicated, you receive some communications that are powerful, intense, things like that would be interesting.
Well, and for people in mountain time, which is where we're at, this is happening. Pluto's going into Capricorn at 3:45 a.m. on the 11th. And then at 4:26 a.m., Mercury is trining Pluto. And at the exact same time, 4:26 a.m., but after, it's really interesting. It's like right after the Mercury moves into Gemini. So most of us are going to be sleeping. I would even watch dreams. I know that's not a Pluto significator, but maybe what is going on in dreams.
AM or PM?
AM.
So 11 a.m.?
No, 3:45.
All right.
On the 11th, 3:45 and 4:26 a.m.
Okay. Bad dream?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like maybe it will be in that dream space or that space, because that is an in-between space, which we could get really symbolic and be like, well, this is happening at kind of an in-between degree. I've never seen this at that degree before in my decade or more of astrology. And so in mountain time, most of us will be sleeping. Anyway, food for thought. I have no idea how it's going to affect people. Please tell us.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah.
This has been fun.
Yeah.
So
we probably went way over how much time we said we were going to go, but that's all right.
Yeah. So some days will be shorter. Some days, maybe we talk. Our goal is not to necessarily spend hours on here all the time, but yes. We have a lot of things to say today. So
yes. And it's a reorientation of where we are, where you guys are. And hi, we're happy to be back.
Look forward to talking with y'all.
Yeah. Okay.
Have a good one. Talk to you soon.
Yep. Bye-bye.